Pesvav, and we're up to Vanoshim Bichlal HaNezek, which you'll see about 6 lines down from the top of the Amud. And the Mishnah says that an Isha is included in the laws of Nezikin, whether she was mazik someone else, she has to pay, and someone else was mazik her, they have to pay her. Minani Mili. And the Gemara is going to bring 3 different limudim, 3 different yalfusas to teach us that the din of the Isha is identical to the din of the Ish. So we'll start with the first one, which is Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, v'chein Tana Debei Rabbi Shmuel. Amar Kra. We're now in Bamidbar Perek Hey, in the parasha of Gozel v'nishba l'sheker. So he stole something, he took a false oath, and then later he confesses his guilt, and he has to bring a chatos. Ish o Isha, the Torah is very outspoken here to include Isha, kiyasu we call chatos ha'odom. And the fact that the Torah here in that context mentions kol chatos ha'odom would seem to indicate that not only does she get punished for the scenario of nishba l'sheker, and she needs a kapara for that aver, but l'kol chatos hishva kosev isha leish l'chol onshim shabbat Torah. So the korban chatos, which is a kapara, and any onish is a kapara, is included under this pasuk isha isha, the equating an isha with an ish. And we'll see the Havamina that if not for this pasuk, we might have thought that maybe in the case of an Isha, she would not be punished. Now, this limud itself would not directly bear on our Mishnah of Nezikin. So we're going to have to see the other 2 limudim and see if we can cover the entire gamut of halacha, equating an Isha with an Isha, and then apply that to Nezikin. To Be'er Abelazatana, this is Yalfusa number 2, based on the pasuk at the beginning of Parashas Mishpatim, Shmos Chaf Aleph, Eila Mishpatim Shetasim Lifnehem. And the word Lifnehem includes both men and women. Lifnehem means Bnei Yisrael. Hishva Kosev Isha Lish L'chol Dinim Shabbat Torah. Now we're talking about Dinim Momenos. So we have one limud for Onshim, to equate Isha with Ish, a second limud regarding dinim, that means dinim momenos, and that equates Isha with Ish by virtue of the pasuk lifneihem. A third yalfusa, debei Chizkiah of Rabbi Yossi Aglili Tana, Amar Kra, the pasuk says in the parsha of Shar Shahemis Adam, where the Baal Shar has to bring he has to pay a kofer to the Yorshim of the victim, and it says Vehemis, the Shar went ahead and killed Ish o Isha. Torah is outspoken about the fact that even an Isha is included in the status of the victim, which after the death by the hands of the Shar would mechayev the Baal Shar kofer. And from the fact that Torah says Isha Hishva Kosev Ish Isha Leish L'chol Misos Shabbat Torah, so that Harigas HaIsha in the case of the Shar is equal to the Harigas HaIsh and generates a chiyuv of kofer. And now the Gemara is going to try to analyze why we need all 3 alfusos to cover the entire gamut of halacha utzrichim. Diash meaning kamaisa, if we only knew that a woman is equal to a man in terms of a chiyuv karban on nishbal sheker hasam hu dechas rachman Allah, when it comes to a chatos, a karban as mechaper, the Torah was compassionate to include a woman ki hechi tevi le kapara, so that she too could achieve atonement for taking this false oath. Aval dinim, as far as dinim are concerned, dinim momenos, well, we could differentiate between a man and a woman. Ish devar masu matan. As a general rule, it's the man who's involved in give and take on monetary transactions with other people and the Torah gives us all the chalos, all the dinim of dinimonis, but Isha she'ain darka b'masu matan lo. So we need a special pasuk to include Isha in dinim, and that was the pasuk lifneim. V'iyash me'in in dinim. If we only knew dinim, and now we didn't have the pasuk by chatas for shvuah sheker, then I would have said ki hechi detevile chiyusa. The Torah didn't want to leave a woman out of the world of business and transactions. No one would agree to sell anything to a woman. How could she buy and acquire ownership over anything she needs for her home or food for the table? Aval kapara ishta bar mitzvah in, isha de la bar mitzvah lo. Maybe in terms of the chatas for a karban that's brought for shvuah sheker, which is kapara. Perhaps the Torah said that a man who's chayiv in all mitzvahs, he's included in kapara, but an isha who's not included in mitzvahs, meaning there are many, many mitzvahs that she is exempt from, she's not included in kapara. And now we're going to try to justify the third limud from the parasha of Shor Shehemis Odom. V'yashmin hanitarti. Even if we had the first two Yalfusos, as far as number one, Kapara on Averis, and number two, as far as including her in Dini Mamanos, we would say in each one of those two, there's a separate reason why the Torah elevated a woman and equated her with the status of a man. Hacha, in the case of Karban on Gzela, when she took a Shvuah Sheker Mishum Kapara, the Torah had compassion on her and gave her the opportunity of Kapara. In the case of Dini Mamanos, Mishum Chiyusa, the Torah wants to guarantee that she could buy and sell Avala in Yikitola, but as far as the case where the shar killed a person, we would say the following: Ishta bar mitzvah, l'shalim kofer, but Isha lo. Since an Ish has all the mitzvahs of the Torah therefore imposed a penalty on the Baal Ashar whose shar killed a male. But in the case of an Isha that she doesn't have and share all the mitzvah Torah, the Torah did not say that for her death, the Baal Ashar would have to pay kofer. And now we're going to ask the opposite question. The Iash Me'inin kofer, if we only had the pasuk of Shor Shehemis Isha to be Mechayiv the Baal Ashar kofer, where the Torah equates Isha le'ish, that's Mishum De'ika Ibud Neshama. A woman was killed, and the Torah has compassion about the death of a woman, and therefore the Torah is Mechayiv the Baal Ashar kofer. Aval Hani Tarti, but in the two cases of Karban for Nishbal Sheker, or in terms of including women in Dini Mamanos, to Leka Ibud Neshama, there's no death involved. Amalo, maybe the Torah would not equate a woman with a man, Tzricha, and therefore we need all three psukim. The Mishnah says Hanizak v'amazik b'tashlumin, which seems to imply that even the Nizak is a partner contributing to the tashlum of the Nezek, meaning he's going to suffer some element of loss, just like the Mazik will have to compensate the Nizak. Itmar. Halga Nizka. Now we have the famous machlokes between Rav Papa and Rav Huna about the status of a shar tam on the first three negichos who pays chatzi nezek. Rav Papa Omar Mamona. Rav Papa holds that this is a chiyuv mammon. The Torah alleviated the mazik, the Baal Ashar, from paying the full damage, but certainly he's paying bidin mammon, which, as we'll see, if he comes forward, the Baal Ashar, and he confesses that his shar damaged Yedem shar, he would have to pay based on his own hodah. Whereas Rav Huna prayed Rav Yeshua Omar Knasa, that really Mikar Din, the Baal Ashar should not even have to pay a dime. The Torah just imposed a new chiyuv, which is called knasa, and the nafkamina is that if a person comes forward and admits that his shor was mazik, someone else's shor, and the shor is a shor tam, he would not have to pay because of the principle of moda b'knas potter, which is derived later on in this Masechet Daf Samach Daled Amud Beis from the pasuk in Shmos Chaf Beis, Asher Yashin Elohim. Elohim is Dayan. Prat L'Mashiach Atzma. Rav Papa, Rav Mona, what was the underlying logic of Rav Papa? A shor in its natural state, even if it hasn't proven itself with a track record of negicha, is alul lingoch, has a personality, a character of being belligerent, and therefore, bedinu, according to the strict letter of the law, if the Baal Hashor was not careful about watching the shor, is the boil shlume kule, he should be paying the entire nezek. But even though the shor has a propensity to go out and damage, because it's not watched, it needs supervision and guide, and it has to be protected and supervised. Nevertheless, the shor has no record, no track record of negicha. It's not yet a shor muad, it's only a shor tam, and therefore we're going to be chas, and we're going to remove 50% of the compensation money and alleviate the Baal Hashor, the mazik, from half of the tashlum, but certainly the half that he pays is me'ikar adin. That's called mama. The Baal Hashor has every right to assume that a shor in its natural state is not going to go out and damage. It's not a belligerent animal. It's innocent until proven guilty after the third negicha. B'dinu delo l'shalim klal. And therefore, since the Baal Hashor did not anticipate such strange behavior on the part of his ox, that the ox became belligerent and deliberately went ahead and damaged someone else's shor or property, therefore, Mikar Din, the Baal Hashor should be off the hook completely. But the Torah imposed the Knas Torah to get the message across to him that you better guard your shor. And the Torah is anticipating that which is, although improbable, but nevertheless possible, that the shor might go out and damage. But then it becomes a knas, and modu b'knas is pot of Tanan. Our Mishnah says, "Hanizak v'mazik v'tashlumin," that both the nizak and the mazik, in the case of a shor tam, participate in the hefsek, because the nizak is only going to collect chatzi nezek. We understand that the nizak is really taking a loss. In the case of shor tam who pays chatzi nezek, because mikra din, the nizak really deserves to be collecting the full nezek. The Torah had compassion on the mazik because, as we said before, kati lo yayin Torah, and therefore we can understand the Mishnah that the nizak is participating by giving up on half the nezek and suffering that loss. Which means Meikar Adin, the Baal Hashor should not be paying a dime, and therefore the nizak should not be getting any compensation at all. It's a great boon and a surprise that he's able to collect chatzi nezek. Is hashda delav didei shakel. He's not taking something in the chatzi nezek that he gets from the mazik that he really deserves. Really, Mikar Din, he doesn't deserve anything because stam shvarim b'chezkas shimur kami v'tashlumin isei. So now you're going to tell me that he's participating in paying off the compensation? We gave him a gift from heaven that he's able to collect chatzi nezek. And that's called knosa. So here the Gemara wants to prove the sheet of Rav Papa that the chiyuv mama, that the chiyuv chatzi nezek is a chiyuv mama and not a chiyuv knas. And the Gemara is now going to say that we can reject this whole logic. Why? Because even if I hold Palga and Niska Knasa, nevertheless the Nizak is going to suffer a loss. How so? If at the time of the death of the animal, the victim animal of the Nizak, the Nevela was worth 100, then as time goes on with the ticking of the clock, the value of that carcass goes down from 100 at a very relatively speedy rate. And why is there a decrease in the value? Because the nevela starts to disintegrate. And therefore, any loss between the moment of the nisa of the shahuzak and the actual payment on the part of the mazik, there's going to be a continuous loss that's going to be suffered by the nizak. And that's considered as if the nizak is participating in the loss. So the Gemara raises the following objection. There's no need for the Mishnah here in the Seifa to present us the halacha that Pchas Nevela is suffered by the nizak. It's already included in the previous Mishnah on Daf Tet, and the ratio of this Mishnah on Daf Tesom and Beis, because it says Chavti v'Tashlume Nizko. And what does Tashlume Nizko mean? Melavich habaylim etaplim b'nevela. And the Gemara says back on Daf Yudam and Beis that the intention of the Mishnah is for Pchas Nevela, that the Nizak, the owner of the dead animal, he suffers the loss of the deterioration of the carcass of the animal. Gemara answers Chada b'tam v'chada b'muad. In truth, the Mishnah will teach us this halacha Pchas Nevela l'baylim to the Nizak twice. Once in the case of Shartam, and another case of Sharmur Utzrich, we need both. And if the Mishnah would only tell us the halacha Pchas Nevela l'Nizak, in the case of Tam, we would say the following. The Torah didn't want to come down so hard and harsh on the mazik because akati lo yayid Torah, and therefore the Torah had compassion and said the Pchas Nevela is not your headache, it's shifted over to the shoulders of the nizak. I would think here the Torah is not going to be so compassionate, and the Torah is going to hit the mazik with the brunt of the law, full 100% responsibility. He's going to have to pay for the entire value of the Shar Nizak. And if the carcass decreases in value, he has to cover that loss. Because here, we have to be very harsh with a person who owns a Shar Muad and failed to protect the Nizak and watch the Shar. If the Torah would have told me that let's have compassion on the mazik in the case of a muad, and let's shift the loss of the animal's carcass over to the nizak, mishum to Kamma shalim kule, because we've been very harsh on the mazik, and in the case of muad, he pays nezek shalim. So therefore, let the nizak participate a bit in the hezek, in the tashlume hezek, and he's going to suffer the pchas nevela. Avol tam, where the mazik is only paying chatzi nezek, I would think that the Torah is not going to be so compassionate, and it's going to demand that the mazik deal with the animal, the nevela, the carcass. Tzricha, therefore I need two mishnayos to teach me two cases, one in Tam and one in Muad, that the Bailam Ametaplin v'nevela. Toshma. At this point, the Gemara is going to quote the Mishnah that's coming around the bend on Tezaino and Beis to prove that palga de niska mamona, and to support the opinion of Rav Papa. Toshma, we said ma bein tam lemuad shatam mishalim chatzi nezek mi gufo muad mishalim nezek shalim min aliyah. Now wait a second. The Mishnah only lists two differences in contrasting tam and muad. There's a third difference that should have been mentioned and was obliquely omitted. And that is v'im iso listening nami ha de tam ena mishal piatzma muad mishal al piatzma. If you accept the opinion of Huna that shar tam is only a knas, and therefore he would not pay al piatzmo. His own admission of guilt would not generate an obligation to pay damages. Then this should have been listed as a contrast between shar tam and shar muad. And the Gemara answers ton of a shir. The Mishnah is not giving you an exhaustive list of all the differences between tam and muad, but we should know that the difference would be in the case of hodah. My shir, the high shir. Vosepis, you're telling me that the Tana shir. Give me an example of shir with regard to this Mishnah. What difference between tam and muad was omitted from the Mishnah? And the Gemara answers, shir chatzi kofer. The Mishnah omitted the difference between a shar tam and a shar muad in a case where the shar victimized a human being and killed a human being. A tam doesn't pay even chatzi kofer, whereas a muad, the bailam will pay a full-fledged kofer. The Gemara rejects this. I would not consider this a shir that the Mishnah omitted the distinction between a shar tam and a shar muad with regard to the case of kofer when the shar killed a person. Because Hamani Rav Yosef Glilihi, Di Omar Tam Mishalim Chatzi Kofer. According to Rav Yosef Glili, the Torah is consistent in equating the laws of Mazik Mamon to the case of Shosha Harg Esa Adam. And in both cases, we have the distinction between Muad that pays Nezek Shalim and a Shartam that pays Chatzi Nezek. So therefore, there was no need for the Mishnah to mention this chiluk. So therefore, we don't have a Tana V'shir based on Chatzi Kofer, because according to Rabbi Yosef Glili, even a Shartam pays Chatzi Kofer. So therefore, the answer that we gave of Tana V'shir remains a very difficult answer, Toshma. And now the Gemara wants to bring another raya from another Mishnah, that Palga de Nizka Mamona, to once again support the view of Rav Papa. And now we're going to turn to Daf Tesvav Amid Beis.